Hey guys, welcome to Games and Crap Experience. I am going to talk about Mass Effect 3 today. Today will be the review for Mass Effect 3. I will be putting a video of spoilers up in a few days just to talk about the things I enjoyed in the game story-wise as well as the very controversial ending. So if you're looking for that, check back in a few days. You can talk about the controversial ending because I know many of you want to. But this video strictly is for the review, so there will be no real spoilers. I won't really divulge anything about the story other than the basic premise that you all know from watching a commercial or reading the back of the box. Because, well, this is a very story-based RPG game, and to ruin the story would be kind of a jerk move. So let's just go ahead and dive right into this. Mass Effect 3 comes to us from Bioware, the makers of Dragon Age and Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. Me personally, I never really got into Bioware until Dragon Age, although I have played Knights of the Old Republic and I did love that game. But Dragon Age and the way that the choices actually carried over into the game made me a much bigger fan. And if you've played Mass Effect 2, you no doubtedly want to continue Commander Shepard's adventures in Mass Effect 3 because the way that the choices transfer over are amazing. Just the littlest things you did in either 1 or 2 when they transfer over can tweak the game in countless ways that you probably won't be able to see all of. I've talked to my friends about this, and he may have or may not have done certain things that I did or vice versa, and this ended up killing a character or saving a character, or it allowed for us to have more or less war assets that you can use on your final assault back on Earth. So, story-wise, Commander Shepard is back for one final mission, as Bioware has been advertising it. Earth has been taken over by the Reapers, and it is up to Commander Shepard to save Earth and take it back. But to do so, Commander Shepard must unite the other races of the galaxy to go out on one final assault to take it back. And so that's really where a lot of the game comes from. You're going around the galaxy trying to convince people to help you take back Earth and fight the Reapers, trying to convince them that if they don't, the rest of the universe is essentially screwed. So the story is amazing. It's very solid. It's great from start to debatable finish, which I'll touch up at the end of the video. But the story otherwise is completely amazing. Gameplay mechanics, if you've played Mass Effect 2, you know what to expect with Mass Effect 3. The gameplay is essentially the exact same, with a few things tweaked and polished up, which is great because it's not like they went and changed too much and made it a completely different feeling. It's very much the same Mass Effect feeling. They did add a couple new things. One of the things they added was melee, which is great. I can't tell you how satisfying it is to use your Omni tool to decapitate a husk or really any enemy. In Mass Effect 3, there is more emphasis on weapon customization. You can get a gun such as the Avenger, and you can put a scope on it, you can put compensation mods, stabilization mods, a bunch of different modifications onto all of your weapons, which honestly I loved. Some people might not like it, but I thought it was a great addition to the game. It allowed me to feel like I just didn't have to grab some random gun, because when I was playing Mass Effect 2, I'd find a new gun and it would be stronger than the other gun, and I would use that for the rest of the game. But Mass Effect 3, you get multiple weapons, and really any of them are just as powerful as the others because you can customize it so much, and that is really a strong point. It's a great addition to the game. Another thing with the weapon system is that you now have to look out for weight on Commander Shepard, because that changes how much your recharge time is on your special abilities or special attacks. If you're overburdened with weight, it'll take a little bit longer to recharge. It's not really too much of a handicap, but if you get too much weight, it does. So it kind of adds a new tactic in Mass Effect where you have to pick what weapons do you really want, because you can't be carrying an assault rifle, a sniper rifle, a heavy weapon, a pistol, and a submachine gun like you would in Mass Effect 2. Typically you'll want to carry 1 or 2 weapons, but I felt that was a great addition because I loved that extra bit of tactic you had to throw in there. Another thing that is back in Mass Effect 3 is the relationships, which is not mandatory for the overall story, but it definitely does add on. I know I myself love doing the relationships in Dragon Age as well as Mass Effect, so to see it back here in Mass Effect 3 is great, especially since relationships from either your first campaign in Mass Effect 1 or Mass Effect 2 carry over into Mass Effect 3. I myself was very happy to see that I could still continue to chase after Liara, and I played as Femshep, so as my friends constantly got to hear each time something new in the story happened, my lesbian blue lover, it was great to see that story finally unfold in a way that I personally thought was satisfying. So I'm very glad that Bioware brought it in. There's not as many squad mates in Mass Effect 3 as there were in Mass Effect 2, which Bioware said they wanted to do so that they could get a more personalized feeling with your squad and you could get to know them better. Oh, and a side note, for those of you that are wondering, Garrus is still doing his calibration. Just throwing that out there. Although there was one point in the game where he wasn't, which was surprising. I wonder if that's why we lost Earth in the first place, but damn you, Garrus. Those calibrations. You need to keep doing them. I love that there's less squad mates to pick from, because in Mass Effect 2 I constantly found myself using the same 2 or 3 people. But the one thing I will say about it is that I didn't feel that Mass Effect 3 had as much of a emotional connection to the characters. I don't know if that's just due to resolution at the end of the game, or if it's just because the loyalty missions in Mass Effect 3 weren't really loyalty missions. There weren't really any loyalty missions. Essentially, it was just talking to them on the ship. You didn't have a loyalty mission like you did in Mass Effect 2, where you would go out and do something that would help you get to know the character more on an emotional level, which I thought was a lot better in Mass Effect 2. But I did love all the characters in Mass Effect 3. So the multiplayer is the next thing I want to talk about, and that was a very hot, controversial topic when the game was being developed and we were getting first news about the multiplayer, because many people felt that Mass Effect did not need multiplayer, and I'm one of those people that if you make a single player game, I don't see why you have to bog it down with multiplayer. But when it comes to Mass Effect 3, I'm willing to eat those words, because Mass Effect 3's multiplayer, it works. And I mean, it's not necessary for the main campaign, but it is fun and you can continue to play it. It helps if your squad mates actually try to help you rather than go out and do everything for themselves. But the multiplayer works, and it's not traditional multiplayer. You're not playing team deathmatch or capture the flag or anything like you would in first-person shooters. Instead, the multiplayer is handled as a squad-based, wave-like multiplayer. If anybody's played Gears of War 3, then you surely know what the wave-based multiplayer is like, because that is the one thing I can kind of think of as similar to that. Another thing would be Halo's kind of flood multiplayer. It's done in a series of waves. You have 10 waves, and you have to fulfill certain objectives, whether that's just simply to survive the wave or to pick up intel. But the multiplayer is handled great. It controls as flawlessly as the single player campaign does, which is great. So you never have to worry about clunky controls in the multiplayer. It fits. So the multiplayer is connected to the single player campaign through the Galaxy at War readiness, and the more you play the multiplayer, the higher your galactic readiness is. And this connects to the single player campaign through the ending, which I'm now ready to talk about since it's winding down the video. The ending to Mass Effect 3, personally, I thought was great. I won't spoil anything, but I know that a lot of people were extremely upset about it. That might be the one flaw in the story campaign, but up to the final 10 minutes of the game, it was perfect and completely satisfying as a storytelling experience. And me, myself, I thought that Mass Effect 3's ending was good. So it's kind of to each their own. I thought it was okay. I would love it if they kind of expanded on it and gave me a little bit more clarity, but I'll talk about that more in the spoiler video, which I will post up in a few days. But yeah, that's it. That's all I had for Mass Effect 3. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please subscribe. You can also find us on Facebook, which I will post a link down at the bottom. and you can, on Facebook, you can see all the current, more up-to-date stuff that I'm posting, because I'll probably post more news up on Facebook than I will on here, just because it's faster. But I will be posting videos up probably every 2 to 3 days, and these will vary between reviews and news, just based off of video games, comic books, and movies, etc. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you all later.